Hey everyone, Farming Lemon here. Today we'll be taking a look at two different mods here. Both of these mods are categorized in the large tractor category. More specifically, we'll be taking a look at two BigBuds. More specifically, we'll be taking a look at the BigBud Series 3 and the BigBud 747, which is a 16 valve. So different mods. I should also note that these are by two different modders, so they are separate, but nonetheless, they're still BigBuds. If you do like this video, please drop a like as well as consider subscribing. If you also have any other video suggestions, leave those in the comments down below. It's always much appreciated. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So both of these mods are available in the in-game mod hub, so they're pretty easy to find. If you're still having issues or anything like that, I'll still have a link in the description below for both of these mods. I should also note that these mods are actually available for console users, so you can take a look at them as well if you do have a console. So starting off here with the BigBud 747 16 valve. You can see here that there are a bunch of different options here, or configuration options here. Base price is $406,500 with a base horsepower setup of 1100. You have a different engine setup here. Doesn't look like it changes your horsepower, rather it changes, I think, your top speed if I'm not mistaken, and that's an additional $5,000. Also, you can change your wheel brand. You only have two options here, so you have your BigBud and then your Michelin. For now, we'll be just sticking with the BigBud. You can also change your wheel setup, so typically like what we've seen with other tractors, you can go twin wheels or the wide wheels as well, and then you can go wide double wheels as well. And moving along here, you can also change the rim contour. So the rim contour isn't necessarily self-explanatory in this case. Rather, more specifically, the rim contour is just kind of a line that goes around the wheel. Honestly, this would just be for cosmetic purposes in this case. And then you can see around the wheel, there is a contour color there. So like I said before, it's mainly just for aesthetic looks, if you will. Additionally, moving along here, you also can change your window tints, so you can change it from 25% all the way up to 100% as well. You can also change your different logos that you have on the side of the tractor, so you can change them to white, you can have them as black, or you can just leave them as they are, as stock. You can also change the stripes on this side, so change them just to white to remove them. We can have them as black. Once again, it's one of the mods that kind of, you can tweak it to however you would like. You can also add some overhead work lights. So as you can see on the top of the cab, you have some on top. You can add some actually on the rear as well. And then you can go front and rear, which is interesting. So then you can also add side work lights as well. So if you can see those are right at the bottom of the stacks here. You can do front and rear for those. You can also add a beacon. And one thing that's cool about this, so you can add your beacons and then you can also change your beacon style as well. So you have a total 10 different beacons, which is quite a few to choose from. Moving along here, we can also add a wiper washer to the front windshield, and I believe this also adds one to the back as well, as you can see. In addition to the different configuration options that we looked at, you can also change your colors as well. As mentioned before, these are kind of standard as well, like we've seen with other mods. All right, and here we are. So we have here on the right the vehicle or the tractor that we decided to go ahead and make in person, or at least standing outside of the tractor. The size is huge. For comparison, I decided to spawn in an 8R, and even with the dual wide tires on this one here, this BigBud, you can see that the 8R looks extremely tiny. Now keep in mind, with the 747 that we designed, we got all of the lights. So taking a look around, you can see that all the lights are on, and there's quite a few. And then we can turn on the beacons as well. Those look pretty nice. Overall, the outside of the vehicle looks really nice, and one nice little feature, now that we're taking a look at the outside, is that you can actually open up the hood. So if you open up the control panel here, you can see that you can just press N to open and close the front hood. Hopping out and taking a look at the engine here, pretty plain Jane. Nonetheless, though, it's honestly a really nice feature to have, just to be able to open up the hood and take a look at the engine. So let's go ahead and start up this tractor here. Now, in my opinion, it sounds really good. And one nice little feature that you can see, the fan on the radiator is actually spinning as well. So honestly, some nice little features to add some realism onto the mod as well. Moving on to the interior, honestly, it's a pretty plain interior. Can't really say much, but with the tints though, it looks pretty good. It looks like it adds a nice little contrast to what you see on the outside. I like it. And so really quick, I just wanted to take a look and show you guys the other two kind of configurations, if you will, for the wheel setup. So here you have the double wide tires like I just showed you guys, and then to the right here you have dual tires, and these are just kind of the standard size. So obviously you can see, you know, there is some difference there in the size. So one other thing I actually think is actually really cool is that cardan shaft right in the middle of the two halves of this tractor. So you can see as we move forward that cardan shaft actually rotates as the tractor moves. And honestly, it's a small feature, but it adds a lot of realism to the tractor that you would otherwise see in real life as well. So in the case that you guys didn't know, where these tractors would be used is for larger applications or larger fields. So in this case, like we have here, we have a pretty decently sized field. And in a lot of cases, they would be used either for cultivating with larger cultivators or maybe plowing, for instance, as well. So here I have a pretty large cultivator, and we'll just be running it through its paces here on this field. Obviously, I don't think we'll have any issues with using this. We'll just go ahead and lower it. Even on, you can see there's a slight incline with this field, and you can see that there is no issue with this tractor and pulling this cultivator. It's just taking its time, and from the cab, honestly, pretty nice in here. Overall, I think for this BigBud, the 747 16 valve, I think there's a lot of nice small details, and I would definitely recommend it. And let's take a look at the other BigBud, the Series 3. So moving on to the menu for the BigBud Series 3, you can see that there are several different options here, ranging from the small frame all the way up to the Welker's BigBud 600/50. Starting off with the Series 3 small frame, you can see that there's a few configuration options here. We have a base horsepower of 360. So you have your traditional wheel brands that we've seen in the past. And then in addition to that, you can also change your wheel setup. So here you can only change your wheels from a single to a twin. You can also change the main livery here from a blue, or you can just leave it as white. In addition to that, you can also change it to Canadian, American, or also Australian as well. Moving on to the left or the right side here, we can also change the stack. You can have it as a small or a large, whatever your preference is. And then you can also add a beacon as well as a warning triangle in back. Otherwise, you could do both as well. Moving along here, you also have some cab options as the main structure itself, so you can change it there. You only have two different options here, so a little limited, but nonetheless it's still an option that I didn't expect to see. You can also add a GPS system in the right hand corner here. It also adds looks like a GPS system on the top of the roof here, which is interesting. I didn't notice that before. We can add front and rear work lights. So here is the option to change the front one. You can change them between standard, and then you can also change them to LED. And similar to the back, there is already standard lights in back, but you can change them to LED. And then an interesting configuration option here is the axle. So if you position yourself kind of under the tractor here, you can see that we can change the axle between two different types. One thing I should say is that this doesn't allow you to pull more or change any performance of the tractor. It's just, as I know, for aesthetic purposes only. Moving on here, you can also change the filter on the right side next to the stack as well. You can change it from a twin, single, short. You can also add a flag to the rear of the tractor here, so you have some different country flags. In addition to that, you can also add tinted glass, which is a nice, which is a nice little touch as well. And then exhaust materials, so you can change up between chrome or just leaving it as it was with the stock color. And then last but not least, you have attachers here, so you can add a 3-point attachment to the front. So as mentioned before, we have a Series 3 large frame as well. So let's take a look at that real quick. So you can note here that the base price is $210,000. You have a base horsepower of 400 horsepower. Moving along here, you have all of these same configuration options. The only thing that is different here is the Welker's farm hat. So that's a little feature on the inside of the cab that you can just add a Welker's farm hat to the side of the cab there. Other than that though, you have this engine setup, which allows you to change your horsepower from 400 all the way up to 600, I believe. Yes, 600. So a little bit interesting there. Apart from that, all the other options are the same. Similarly to that, we also have the extra large frame. So this actually has 650 horsepower as opposed to the 600 horsepower. So one thing about this is that you do have a different option at the top here. This is the configuration. So you can change it to an industrial theme, and then you can also change it to an industrial custom as well. So allowing you to change some of the other options here as well. Your horsepower also changes or increases by an extra 15 horsepower as well. As mentioned, all of the other options here are the same. And last but not least, we have the Welker's BigBud 600/50. This one has the least amount of configuration options. Still, same wheel brands, same wheel setups as we've seen, GPS system as well, and so on and so forth. And so here we are. So we have all 4 Series 3s here. So we have the small frame all the way up to the BigBud 600/50. So starting off with the small frame, we have the 3-point attachment in the front, dual tires. At least from the outside of the vehicle or the tractor, it looks really good, to be honest with you. And one thing to note too, the engine in it is honestly, it's pretty detailed. It honestly looks really good. So now we have all the lights on. Let's turn on the flashers. Pretty good. Looking at the interior of the cab, there's actually a lot of detail as opposed to the 747, which is actually kind of interesting. I don't really pay attention to the interior too much, but nonetheless, it's always nice to have. So let's hop onto the outside here and let's start it up and let's give it a little listen. We have the 4 Series 3s here, and then I have the 747 here. I just want to do that for a size comparison. As you can see, these are the double wides, but even so, the envelope of the 747 is quite large, if I'm being honest with you, as opposed to the normal Series. This Series 3, or at least the small frame, sounds a lot different than the 747, and within driving it, at least right now, it seems like it has a little bit different handling than the 747, and it seems like it's a little bit more sluggish, which in this case I don't mind. Similarly to the 747, you can see that the fan on the radiator is also rotating, which is a nice little feature to have. And your cardan shaft in between the 2 halves of the tractor is also rotating. By comparison, for those features, these mods are pretty similar in that regards. And one other cool feature that I didn't list in this, so you can actually right-click on your mouse. For console users, I'm not sure what that would be, but you can actually go ahead and open your door here. So I know you can't open the hood on this one, but honestly, open the door is honestly pretty cool as well. So I'll take that. So one of the differences with the Series 3 as opposed to the 747 is that we have a nice 3-point attachment at the front of this. So this honestly offers you the ability to have a leveler at the front. So if you have maybe silage or something like that, I think this tractor would suit well, since you relatively use larger tractors for that kind of application. In this case, as opposed to hauling or pulling a cultivator, I have here a leveler, and we have some piles of, I think, wood chips that we'll be using for this, at least this example. Even if you had silage, I don't think there'd be any issues with this, to be honest. I think this setup is honestly, it's really cool. I really enjoy just seeing this tractor work, how it really articulates. I think the suspension, or at least the way it kind of maneuvers over bumps, is, I feel like, at least in my opinion, a little bit different than what we've seen in the past with the 747. Yeah, even going over the large bumps, or at least the large areas of material, it seems like it works its way over pretty nice. And I think this is probably the one application that this would be very well suited for. But I think overall, I think both of these mods are really good. And I definitely recommend, especially if you're on console, to go check these mods out. Honestly, they're pretty cool and they're pretty iconic as well. So I would definitely suggest checking them out. As mentioned, you can find the link in the description below. If you like this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Always much appreciated. And as mentioned, if you have any other video ideas, leave those in the comments as well. I think that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.